Today I'm joined by Sara Isaković, triple Olympian, competed in 2004, 2008 and 2012, silver medalist at the Beijing Olympics in 2008, European champion in the same year, first Slovenian swimmer to bring home an Olympic medal. Next to the sporting achievements, you have a master degree in psychology, performance psychology, and a TEDx speaker. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Sara, assuming that you are the first Slovenian swimmer to bring home a medal, is swimming not a very popular sport in your country?
Well, I would say, definitely not as popular as skiing, for example, and our winter sports. Basketball has been becoming more popular also recently because we have Luka Doncic in the NBA and people are going in different direction based on, who's the star of the season of the year. But yeah, I mean, swimming, there's a constant, I would say. People like watching swimming, especially at Olympics. It's just our country is so tiny that we really have a very little people to choose from. So with regards to a bigger country that can have many swim clubs, many coaches, many kids enrolled in swim lessons. So in that sense, it's difficult to compare, but wouldn't say as much popularity as much as how many, I guess then, because it's not so popular, not everybody enrolls in swimming. Could be like that. Yeah.
How did you get into it?
Well, so my mom used to be a swimmer, and back then it was still Yugoslavia. So my mom used to compete for Yugoslavia, and she was a very good swimmer. And then she just wanted to teach my twin brother and I how to swim. And her intention was just that, no professional swimming, because she knew what it takes. But then we both proved to have, some sort of a feel for the water early on. And I loved spending time in the water. And then through my mom's coaching in the early years, I then joined club swimming and continued ever since. Yeah. So I spent a lot of my childhood in Indonesia and Malaysia. That's where I grew up. And I had the opportunity to swim in outdoor pools, in hotels, all day, every day. So I was in the water basically since I was 2.5. Yeah.
Okay. And Indonesia, why was that? Because of the war?
Yeah, exactly. Because my father is Serbian, my mom is Slovenian. And all of a sudden when Slovenia had its borders closed in 1991, when I was 3, my dad couldn't get into Slovenia anymore because he was a Serb all of a sudden. So then he just packed his bags, and he was a pilot, so he got a job flying for any airline he could get a job for. So, and then in 96 he moved to Dubai, and 97 my whole family moved to Dubai with him so that we could be fully together in one place.
Oh, that's nice. That would have actually been my question, because I saw you were born in 1988 and the war started in 1991. But you left the country.
I mean, so like Slovenia, for example, we felt war. I think, I don't remember this. My parents say it was just in Slovenia, like 3 days. So Slovenia wasn't as affected as it was, the other Balkan countries. But my parents, they loved each other. They were like, we're making this work no matter of nationality. We're still the same people. So I had that privilege to grow up internationally. Yeah.
Really cool. In your life as an athlete, what was your darkest moment?
My darkest moment was definitely those 8 months before Beijing Olympic Games. So that was around November, December 2007. Just because I was so burned out as an athlete, and I felt in that period of time a sense of urge, like because the problem was that I was really burned out and drained, and my body wasn't moving, and I wasn't training well. And my clock was ticking, because I was like, I have Beijing Olympics in 8 months, and I have these big dreams and aspirations, and I still believe in them. But I was a little worried then, because every single day I would come home crying. I would already cry in my car from practice to home. Like, I would be crying, like, I'm not moving, I'm not, making any progress. I hated swimming freestyle, which was my main event. So I just swam butterfly instead, anything else I could, just to get my mind off of freestyle, even though my big dreams were all written down for freestyle, how I wanted to break the world record and win an Olympic medal in Beijing. Those were all like dreams written on my wall, and I hated freestyle. I begged my coach to swim anything else but freestyle. So yeah, and it was sad. It was also a moment where I was doubting whether or not I should have stayed in Slovenia, because I finished high school 2007, and then I took 1 year off before Beijing Olympics to just train. So swim and sleep and eat. That was my whole schedule, 2007, 2008. And then I was questioning, maybe I should have gone to the US. I'm wasting 1 year of school. I could have gone directly to uni to study, and yeah. But I had love and support, and I was mentally very strong. So I didn't let that get to me, but it was difficult. It was really difficult, because I was worried. I was really worried that, yeah, I won't have enough time to get ready for Beijing. Yeah.
Considering in Beijing you had a personal best and finishing second, you must have somehow recovered from that moment.
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, so this is what happened, right? I was always this child, like a little mental guru of my own. And I had a dad who, somehow my mom always kept me realistic, and she's like, she was even more worried for me. So I had like a lot of negativity in that sense, but my mom did everything for me on this planet. So I'm very grateful, for everything she's done. But her mindset was, it's not going to happen. You're missing uni. Like, what's going on? Like, her worries were being spilled onto me. So it was a lot of that. But at the same time, I had my dad, who was every day telling me, listen, 8 months is a long time. So, stay calm, believe in your dreams, visualize them. And what I did when I came home crying because practice didn't go well. But then 2 hours later, I was in bed crying because I was visualizing how I'm winning an Olympic medal. But I was visualizing it so vividly that, for me, it was happening, like as if it's happening in real life. So I would convince my mind, but basically I would be still envisioning this success, 8 months ahead of time, with, I don't know, it was just so much heart and soul. And then I would also revisualize practices. So I would erase the bad practice. There's no such thing, but results weren't good. So I would erase the movie in my head. I would close my eyes. I would erase the practice or the main set, and then I would re-swim it in my mind the way I was supposed to swim it. So I did that for months, for 2-3 months. I would revisualize every practice and just convince myself that I'm on a good path. And then, January, I was still struggling. We were in South Africa on a training trip, and I was dying. And I was like, oh my God, this high altitude is killing me. But I still kept doing the same thing. We came to March European Championships, and my main event was supposed to be 200 fly. And my coach begged me, like honestly on his knees, Sarah, please swim the 200 freestyle. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll swim it just for you. And then I went swimming this 200 free, no pressure, no expectations. I actually get third into the finals. And I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like 200 free, all of a sudden I like it again. And then I end up winning. And then I just convinced myself, listen, I'm here, I'm lane 3, I can win this. I know I can win this. And I just went for it. And then when I won 200 free European Championships, I didn't, 10 minutes later was my 200 fly semifinals. I didn't even go. I was like, I love freestyle. And then, yeah. And then after that, I was like, okay, everything's okay. I'm on a good path. I went 1:57 and my goal time was 1:55.00 for Beijing. So I was like, I'm good. And then things just kept going better and better. And my body felt fresher. Yeah, I was very fortunate the stars aligned my way, but I know I did some work on that too.
And the visualization, is that something you taught yourself or someone taught you?
So I was always told by my mom when I was little to practice my races in my head ahead of time. So she would always tell me, even when I was 12, close your eyes, go in the corner, just, play out the movie, how you want to swim 100 backstroke, for example. Because I was a backstroker when I was little. So I listened to her. I didn't know, exactly how to do it, but then the older I got, and because I practiced so much, I understood that I need to make this environment as vivid as possible. I need to hear sounds. I need to feel the water. I need to see my race strategy play out. So I got better, at it through time on my own. Yeah, we didn't talk about really mental preparation in Slovenia back then.
So basically you trained yourself to learn.
Yeah, I really had, I'm so lucky. I'm so lucky that came to me, like with a little bit of encouragement, but I took it very seriously. So I really believe that if I practice something ahead of time in my head, I didn't understand the neuroscience that I later understood. So yeah, I'm happy I had that skill.
I saw in an interview of you when I made my research, you said you were enthusiastic about the Rio Olympics and the qualification for it. What happened?
Oh yeah, that's, well, nice catch. I like that you saw that. Yeah, well, so what happened was in 2012, I wasn't happy with my London Olympics at all. Unfortunately, there was a lot of other events leading up to it. I came from college, from the US. Somehow, I wasn't good at communicating with my coach at that time. I was younger. Somehow, I guess I was more scared, but the communication was off. And coming from a US training environment back to club swimming in Slovenia, preparing for Olympics, training was different, everything was different. So anyway, somehow I came to London not being happy at all. I was just thinking the entire Olympics, get me out of here. I don't want to be here. And then I took a year off. And then I went back to the uni in Berkeley. I finished Berkeley 2013, one whole year off of swimming. And then I moved to San Diego, where I got a job as a research assistant in San Diego. So I just worked in a lab exploring brain mechanisms of resilience in US Navy SEALs and Marines and other athletes like BMX guys. And then I met a Serbian coach there that I knew from childhood in San Diego. I'm like, Marco. Like, Marco, what are you doing here? He's like, Sarah, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm working, and just enjoying life. And he's like, what about your swimming? And I'm like, oh, I'm thinking, it's over. And he's like, what? You're 24 or 25. You should start training with me. And I was like, Marco, I haven't been training for 1 year. I was out of the water. He's like, doesn't matter. You'll be back in no time. So he got me so enthusiastic about swimming again that I was training incredible. I was training better than I've ever trained. But when I went to competitions, so maybe the interview that you saw, that was during my training period. I did not yet go to competitions. But once I got to swim meets, I had zero pulse. before the blocks. I was like zero excited to race, and I just didn't feel the passion to race anymore. And then once I figured out I just don't want to race anymore, then I knew it's over. So unfortunately, yeah, you saw the enthusiastic stage of training before I went to a competition. But it was the best moment of my life, like just knowing that I'm done and that I'm okay if I finish my swimming career and that I did everything I wanted. Yeah.
Okay. That leads perfectly into the next question. What was your best moment?
Best moment. Well, I have to say my best moment is really winning an Olympic medal, just because I taught myself that life lesson I got through winning an Olympic medal is no matter really where you're from and what your background is, what your training condition is like you can train in a gym that's 1930s, which is still like here in Slovenia at my pool. You can really make dreams come true if, number one, you're willing to work harder than anybody on the planet, which means I do everything that's expected of me and more. And number two, being able to see the vision in my head. I think that was my lifesaver, really. Because the hard work is great, but the one who wins at the end is the one who believes more. And I feel like, athletes, when they come into pressure situations, the role of an athlete is to just let go and to just let the body perform and, not think about results and not think about, am I going to make it? Am I not going to make it? Who's going to beat me? What's my country going to think? So with the mental preparation, I got myself in the moment where I could just go and just let it happen. And my biggest life lesson was if I train hard and if I prepare, honestly, anything is possible. Like absolutely anything is possible. And when people tell me like it's not possible, I'm like, I'm not gonna believe that. So that's my biggest life lesson, which I carry on. Yeah.
I have an interesting one for you because recently I've spoken to Inge de Bruin.
Really?
Yeah. Amazing.
Oh my God, she was like my hero when I was little.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And actually what she told me is her coach always told her, you can do more than you think you can.
Oh, wow, he did?
Yeah. So that fits perfectly with what you said. It's like nothing's impossible, right?
Wow, that's really nice that the coach let her like say that. I didn't really have an environment where, people are willing to dream. So it's just hard work. Slovenians is just hard work, stay humble, no dreaming big. But yeah, I had my family members. I had my dad who was willing to say those things to me and be crazy with me and dream big. But you need those people in your life. It's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A question, that Olympic final in 2008, you put down a phenomenal time of 1 minute 54.97, so which is below 1:55. That has never been done before. But then unfortunately there was one person who was 0.15 seconds faster, right?
Yeah, Federica Pellegrini, yeah.
How do you reflect on that?
So I know some people don't believe me and they say, well, Sarah's just justifying herself because she was second. But I'm genuinely, I have to say that I've never in my life since that moment thought about, I wish I was first. Of course, maybe my life would be better, but I actually cannot imagine my life better. To be like, oh, just because it was gold, maybe I get more things. I don't know, it doesn't work that way. For me, silver medal was honestly everything. I have so much respect for Federica Pellegrini, and I was genuinely so happy for her. And I'm still so happy for her because she's still killing it in the swimming world. I don't think as an athlete, it makes you anything less. Like, I get it. Olympic champion is it's a different level because you're the champion. But at the end, when there's tiny little mistakes, I mean, I respect athletes, top 8 at Olympics, but nobody even knows who was 4th. So luckily I didn't get 4th. If I got 4th, my life would have been different. That's true. But silver, I'm on the podium. I mean, I'll take it. In that pressured environment where absolutely anything can happen, I'm happy I made it happen. Yeah.
And in addition to that, you put down a personal best in the moment where it mattered most. So everything that was in your control, you did.
Thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Actually, that's true.
I think so. I mean, you can't influence what your opponent does, right? So you did the best performance of your life in the Olympic final. So
True. Yeah. I mean, my time, I envisioned the time I was envisioning for 2 years before Beijing, at least 300 times, was 1:55.00. So when I swam 1:55.97, I was like, hello, universe. Like, are you kidding me? This is cool. I wish I would have written down 1:54.5. I'm joking, but yeah, that was good. Definitely. Definitely a good race. It was a great race to watch also back now. Yeah.
If you could travel back in time 10, 15 years, what advice would you give a younger Sara?
So if I would travel back 10 years, which puts me into 20s, I would try and say, be as genuine as you possibly can with yourself in a way that I'm really honest. My whole priority in the 20s, thank God I'm 30, I'm so happy. But in 20s was to please others, and everybody has to be happy, and my role is to make everybody happy. I guess, I don't know, just my character, but it would be much better if I stood up for myself and communicated what I'm feeling, and communicated even with my coach before London Olympics. And just being really genuine, really honest with what I want, how I feel, and then going from there. But I was hiding a lot of like unhappiness and pain, and just swimming wasn't going well when I was transitioning from college back to Europeans and Worlds. And but it's also my fault because I didn't communicate with my coach. And he was just, kind of continuing the same training I had before Beijing. So same practices, same, 14, 15, 16 kilometers a day. Whereas I was 4 years older and my body was different and I was training different in the US. So definitely, as early as possible, really stay true. Just don't lie to yourself or make somebody else happy while you're suffering. Yeah.
You moved to the US after the Beijing Olympics, right?
True, 2008, yeah.
So why did you decide to make that move?
Well, so the school was always my first priority, always was. I love school. I'm really such a geek at heart. So I always wanted to continue swimming and studying. And in Slovenia, the country itself doesn't offer ways for athletes to continue education and sports at the same time. It's either you become a pro athlete or you leave sports and you're a student. And I went to international schools all my life, so I knew I always wanted to study in the US. Yeah.
You think you could have been a better swimmer if you would have doubled down and didn't study?
Yes. I mean, it's so difficult to say, because I say that I wouldn't change my Berkeley experience for 1,000,000 gold Olympic medals, because I learned how to be, I was always independent, but still like living on my own, cooking, cleaning, studying 24 hours a day, swimming for the best team in the country. When I was at Cal, we won 4 national championships in 4 years. So, I mean, for me, NCAA championships was better than Olympics. I was like, oh my God, I actually feel a sense of belonging to a team and, you know, a group energy. Everybody works together for one common goal. Brilliant coaching. I mean, Terry McKeever is one of those coaches in Berkeley, Cal women's swim team, where you watch, you watch on YouTube, like legendary NCAA coaches, and you get goosebumps when you hear them talk. That's how our coach was for 4 years, for my 4 years. So in general, I loved every minute of it, and I wouldn't change it for another Olympic medal. I really wouldn't. And the education and the professors on Berkeley campus, oh, I couldn't wait every day to go to class. I was like, I can't wait tomorrow. So yeah, definitely a very priceless life experience. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. What are the habits that make you a successful athlete or person?
Habits. Well, how I see habits in the way, if I reflect back on my swimming career, it's doing things, that move me in the right direction. So on any point in day and time, I'm doing what matters most. I'm taking care of my body. I sleep. I make sure I go to sleep early. I wake up, I come to practice early. I warm up my body. I don't just come to practice 3 minutes early and just be like, ugh. I warm up my body intentionally. I stretch after. I take ice baths. I mean, it's all about little things at the end. And for me, so whether it's nutrition, whether it's self-care, whether it's routines also, so just, habits, getting in a routine. Also routines pre-competition are super important. But I guess every athlete on their own finds what works for them. It's just so important that you're genuinely staying honest. Like I said, not in that sense honest, but just honest with, am I doing everything that is in my power and capability right now, or am I cheating myself? Because the coach isn't looking, am I doing 18 squats instead of 20 squats? No, I'm going to do 22 squats. So it's all about, in that sense, am I staying committed to my goals and then aligning my behaviors with that? Mental habits are just as important. So how I talk to myself, in things to myself, how I view failure, how I perceive difficult challenges. It's all about, actually at the end, it's all about the mind and how you manage that.
Do you have a morning routine?
Yeah. So my morning routine, today it's different, than when I was an athlete. But when the alarm rings, I love just setting a mental intention for the day. So I would, for example, just envision what's waiting for me that day, and I would play a short movie of how I'm successfully going about and solving problems and, achieving things and getting things done. So envisioning that. When I was an athlete, 5 a.m., when I was walking to practice in Berkeley, I would repeat things that I'm grateful for just to get me in a happier state of mind. But today is like, no, I sleep next to my boyfriend, I kiss him, I have breakfast. I try not to check emails or phones till at least an hour into the day. Like, I wouldn't get on my phone and check Instagram, no. I take time to freshen up my body and shower, and like everybody else.
Okay, cool. How do you prepare for important moments?
Well, first thing, important moments. Well, it's for me, any kind. Now as a lecturer, when I lecture, and if I have big conferences, I mean, what is an important moment? It's just a moment, I guess, when you want to be your best, right? Depends how you perceive it. But I mean, it's work, it's preparation. It means that if something is waiting for me as an athlete, if I didn't put in the training, I wouldn't feel confident, definitely. As a lecturer today, if I don't prepare my material, if somehow I don't know what I'm saying, I wouldn't be confident to carry out the performance. So it's preparation in the sense of like athletes like physically engaging. Like for me now, it's like cognitively engaging. And then, like I said, I really, really believe in visualizing. And if I have like a big, big lecture hall, and maybe I have like a keynote speaking, like bout, which is just 20 minutes and it kind of has to be like a TED talk, I would put myself mentally on that stage before and rehearse. Yeah.
And then, I mean, we've talked about that Olympic final in 2008. Prior to that race, what did you do?
Just prior, like how, 10 minutes prior?
Yeah. How to prepare immediately for that moment?
Well, can I tell you the real story?
Please.
The real story was that we swam finals in the morning. Not to blame the US, but the US paid millions and billions of dollars so that they could watch primetime swimming. Their primetime hours. So we had our finals. My final was around 10 a.m. And when I woke up that day and went for a swim, because I need to warm up my body in the pool before I race, I've never felt more tired, more sore, more heavy. And I was like, no, don't do this to me because I have my final in 1 hour. And you have to swim these race pace times just to get the body moving in the same kind of race pace mode. And I would swim at least a second off. So instead of going, 30, 29, 28, 27 seconds, I went 32, 31. And my coach, for the first time in my life, he looks at me and he goes, Sarah, you're okay. And I'm like, what? My coach has never said that. In my life, my coach has never said that to me. So I don't know where he got that idea from. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm okay. And then I went out, and 45 minutes before my race, maybe 50 minutes, but I was under the shower like this, just hot and cold shower, hot and cold, hot and cold. And I was repeating to myself for at least 10 minutes, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. I'm ready, I can do this. I believe in myself, like positive affirmations to a max. And then, I guess I just felt better, and then I went to race. There's no really prep time that early before races. It's physical warm-up. Mentally, this is the state I was in, as I'm saying. I had to really boost my confidence that way. And then it's just, let's have fun. And my last word, before the guy said, take your marks, I just told myself, have fun. Those were my last words.
And considering that the lead up to that race was so difficult, did you still believe you could win and set a personal best?
I was always one of those athletes that did such a good job at focusing on the process. And I never, ever obsessed with the outcome. It wasn't even, in that moment, it wasn't in my mind. Because I knew that my job was to just execute my best race strategy. And the plan I've been sticking to in the prelims, in the semifinals, in months before that. It's a 200 freestyle. I know I swam it 1,000,000 times before. And all I needed to do in that moment was to swim another 200 freestyle. And I really believed that if I left my heart and soul in the pool, I would swim good. Yeah, so I knew the time would take care of itself, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
How do you overcome setbacks?
Setbacks. Yeah, I was pretty chill with failures, setbacks, whatever we call them. Somehow I knew that I had 5 minutes to be sad, and I let myself be sad. But I'm way too much of a happy person. I wouldn't let myself be sad for long. So I was like, hello, sadness, can you please go away? Everything's okay. And then I would just think about what I learned from that experience and what my job is, how to move forward. Every single time, it's the same thing. And it really turns out, and you know yourself, that honestly, everything happens for a reason, and somehow that was meant to be then that experience. Of course, moving in the right direction with the right kind of mindset. Instead of sabotaging yourself and saying, okay, it's over, it's more like, okay, let's keep going, let's keep working hard. A lot of patience as well. Yeah.
Who's your role model and why?
Oh, I knew this question was coming. Can I tell you the truth? Role models. Okay, so role models, when I was very little, it was not that little. It's Peter van den Hoogenband. He was like my hero. And of course, Ian Thor back then, and Alexander Popo, and Martina Morozova was one of my first ones. And anyways, not that I didn't have girls, lots of girls. But in general, today, I feel like every human is a role model in some sort of way. And luckily, I'm surrounded by beautiful people, capable people, doing lots of cool projects. And I'm inspired by everybody that kind of lives their passion and shares, good with the world. Honestly, like a role model could be a cleaning lady one day. And I meet her and I'm like, oh, like, how nice of her to clean this whole place. So yeah, she's a role model because she's probably struggling with money, or I don't know what, she has 3 jobs. So she's a role model too.
Oh, nice. What is the best advice you received and who gave it to you?
Best advice. I think best advice. Well, so I honestly don't know who gave this to me, but I think I got it from my upbringing, from my parents actually, is just to be who I am. So they didn't necessarily tell me that like consciously, Sarah, just be you, like be authentic. But it was more like, we let you be you. So just be you, like you're not a result. We don't judge you based on times. You're Sarah, you're a human being. And I was always, through my parents, somehow had the freedom to be fully me and never pretend that I am something I'm not. And, never have to fulfill somebody's expectations or wishes. Because at the end, all it matters is that, I don't know, that I'm happy. And yeah, so I love that part. And my parents, through, like I said, education and taking us around the world and showing us, people everywhere around the world are the same. And, that it's important, to share love and care for other people and, be genuine and authentic, because a lot of people live these unauthentic lives and they don't do things that they like, and then they're just stuck. So luckily I had that, and I could do that through sports, and now I do that through my new career.
And what advice would you give someone who lives an inauthentic life?
Well, so first, to just be super honest and say and admit it, you know what, I'm not happy doing this job, and I'm not happy in this relationship, and I'm not happy with the situation. And people are just like passive, and then they feel like a little bit like victims. Oh, well, life is hard, and things will never get better, and they're just not meant to be for me, and it will get better. No, if it's not okay, well, maybe it can get better, but you have to put in intention and work and effort and a little bit of, just genuine, like energy when it comes to saying, like, I want things to be better. And then changing the mindset, because they are creating that reality for themselves. So with their words and their self-talk, and people can get very, very destructive with their thinking patterns. And sometimes it's not their fault, because the parents and the environment programmed this very, very subconsciously, programmed this very negative perspective on life into a child's brain. And then, when we're 5 years old, we have no control what kind of information we're accepting. If someone's telling us, stop dreaming, who do you think you are? It's never going to happen. Somehow, when we're older, we have a choice which thoughts we're going to listen to and which not. So just first be very truthful, accept that it's not okay, and then try and change. Not try, but just change, because every one of us with a little bit of conscious awareness can, catch those unproductive thoughts, and then we decide how we want to respond. The same with emotions. So trying to be the master of your mind. I mean, I know it sounds super cheesy, but it is what it is.
Yeah, thank you. I know swimmers have long days, right? Early mornings, long evenings. Take us through a typical day of a swimmer. How does the training day look like?
Yeah, training looks, so I would wake up 4:45, eat breakfast by 5:05, leave my house 5:08, get to the pool 5:20 or 5:18, 5:19. I mean, those minutes are so important. I know they don't sound important, but they are. And then 5:30 would be jumping in the water, swim for 2 hours. So when I was younger, this was high school years, and then college years was the same. I would then go to school or classes. In college, my practice was already from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m., whereas in club swimming, it was from 6 to 8 p.m. So when I would come home from school, when I was younger, I still had time for homework, to eat lunch, and then maybe I had an hour, not off. I was doing homework probably. So yeah, I'd come home, high school years, around 8:30, 8:45, eat dinner, go to bed at 9:15. In college, I used to finish my training day at 4 p.m. I'd still have some classes in the afternoon, and then study in the evenings or hang out with friends. So yeah, definitely twice a day training with the gym or some kind of cross training, Pilates.
I'm just making my math. So you go to bed at 9:15, getting up at 4:45. That makes it 7.5 hours. Is that enough sleep?
Well, no, definitely not. I know. Well, the thing is, I really learned how to power nap. So in college, when I would come home from practice, I would come home around 8, let's say, 7:55, eat my breakfast, and then from 8:20 to 8:35, 8:20 to 8:35, I would take a power nap. And then in 5 minutes, I would pack my school, uni bag with books and notes. And then 8:45, I would already be running to class. But the 15-minute nap saved my life. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I saw in the TED Talk, you talked about that you developed a mental training program for pilots. And now you've developed a new program between the two lanes. What is it about?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I started off with pilots because my whole family is pilots, and I genuinely care about psychological states of pilots. And now I got this book and program printed. So my wish was for, let's say, this is adjusted to all ages, young, old. I feel like we're all kids at heart, but it's more adjusted to a younger population, because I always wanted a young swimmer, 13, 14, somewhere around then, when you start, kind of deciding what you want to do with your sports career, to have like a manual in someone. So like if I'm talking about myself, so that I have a manual in my hand. How can I mentally power through all the grueling hours of training, all the competitions? I mean, it's mentally really, really challenging to stay motivated every day, to stay confident when you need to manage thoughts, emotions, really stay present, focused, be aware of my body, be aware of my habits. It's all about attitude at the end, and learn, and have the ability to learn how to visualize. So mindfulness training plus visualization. Yeah, so with all my studies and experiences, I said, I need to do this. Not I need to, I definitely don't need to, I want to. I want to do this because I wish that every young swimmer, for now just swimmers, have this program in their hands. So I constructed a 5-week mental training program, 4 weeks of mindfulness training, a fifth week is learning how to visualize. So I intentionally teach swimmers how to close their eyes and practice scenarios and practice races ahead of time. But it's a step-by-step process. So yeah, that's what it is. Here's just a book, but inside there's a QR code where I have access to 36 mental training recordings. And if that individual goes through it intensely and does everything the way it's meant to be, great results, happen. So I'm happy. This makes me really happy that I can give back to the swimming community. Hopefully in the next 6 months, I'll have the same program. Here I wrote between two lanes, just because we swimmers spend our whole life just between two lanes, watching the tiles on the floor. But hopefully in the next 6 months, I'm gonna have one program for a general performer as well. Because now I work with not only athletes, but musicians, businessmen. Like I said, I started with pilots, extreme athletes. Basically, it's for any individual who wants to just live a little bit easier and have the mind in the right place.
Yeah, really cool. And then after 5 weeks, after some time, you repeat the 5 weeks?
Well, no. So here's the thing, right? So mindfulness, so here is a intense 5-week mental training program, but I encourage them to continue for the next 3 weeks, at least being mindful of where they're paying attention to. But what happens in the period of 5 to 8 weeks, you're actually reprogramming your brain and training the awareness part of your brain, which is called the insular cortex, through meditation and through mindfulness exercises throughout the day. So what happens is you actually rewire a brain that helps you be aware in situations when you need awareness. So for example, I start complaining. My coach gives me a really difficult set and I'm thinking, oh, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die and I can't do this. This is too hard. Everything's hurting. Do you think you're crazy? Like, how can this possibly be true? And in that moment, if my awareness clicks in, I can say, oh, wow, this is interesting. Where are all these thoughts coming from, like bombarding me with all this negativity? And I can say, okay, thoughts, thank you for the drama. I appreciate it. Now, please, let's keep it calm and quiet. And then I get to decide how I want to respond and think constructively. How am I now going to be able to do this instead of being caught in this drama of, life is difficult and I'm going to die? Because then all of that physically manifests in the body. And as an athlete, and if I'm not aware of my mind-body connection, performance just doesn't come about. So it's just more about this basic skill of how am I able to manage myself in stressful situations so that I can help myself. But without training the brain, it's like training a muscle in the body, any muscle in the body. Awareness that doesn't click on its own. You need to train it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So what else is going on in the life of Sara at this moment in time?
This moment in time, well, I'm really in a very happy place. Thank you for asking. I'm back in Slovenia, and I'm happy I'm here because somehow people in this region are yet to like explore the mental aspects, just the mental, like the well-being, mental health and well-being, just because it's such a taboo topic for, for people here to talk about it. So I'm happy I'm in a place where psychology is still new, more or less. It's been around forever, but people are now more open to talking about it. And I'm happy to bring a more practical and easy and fun and relatable approach to psychology within all those performance fields, and work with coaches and parents and young athletes and young performers, and just, help them build more resilient mindsets. And the nature in Slovenia is beautiful, so I'm in the mountains hiking, and I've never hiked before because in Dubai there are no mountains. Breathing fresh air and eating healthy food. Yeah.
Nice. Do you want to nominate someone to be interviewed?
Yeah. Why? Okay, not because, now you're like originally Dutch. It's not because of that. But for example, I'm really, really inspired by Femke because she is one of the toughest swimmers I've ever witnessed in a swimming career. She's, I think, 1 or 2 years older than me, but she keeps fighting and she keeps going, and she just loves the thrill, and she keeps getting better. And somehow at that age, it's difficult to sustain, such a high level of, intense trainings and her level of excellence. So if Femke will have time, no pressure, Femke. Yes, I hope she can talk to you about how she does it, because she's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
People, you can find me on Instagram, of course. My name is Sara 3 Ice, so number 3 and then Ice. Don't ask, it's just a nickname. And then saraisaković.com is my website, where I'm also reachable at email. So I guess those 2 platforms. Yeah.
Sara, thanks a lot for your time. That was awesome.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you. Thank you for lovely questions. They were really great.